Barry, you appear to have a Shoto on your head, man. You should probably do something about that. You look ridiculous right now. Okay, hey everybody, how you doing? Tekking and Barry back again. That was the goofy, silly intro. Now we get into the serious stuff here. Spoilers! My Hero Academia spoilers. I know I put it in the title and everything like that, but no, you don't understand. Like, if you're still watching this video without even reading the chapter, or you're a few chapters behind and you're like, I really don't care about spoilers, that's fine, that's okay, but just letting you know, this is kind of like earth-shattering revelations for characters and stuff, so I'm just giving you one final warning there, okay? Major spoilers, alright. So, Dabi is Toya! My goodness, Horikoshi, you know what? I was with you up until now. I followed you for 289 chapters of this story, and I was following along perfect. I think you're a great writer. But then chapter 290 dropped today, and we find out that Dabi, this whole time, was the long-lost brother of Shoto and son of Endeavor that we previously thought to be dead. And my god, I have to tell you, that just makes no sense, alright? I thought Spinner was going to be Shoto's brother this whole time. All the evidence led to Spinner, and then you throw Dabi at us at the last minute. Okay, so obviously, I don't know if this was a thing ever since Dabi's first appearance, but it was shortly thereafter where a lot of theories were popping up. Like, well, there's this mysterious villain dude that's covered in scars, and he can use blue fire, which anybody that ever watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, of course, knows that blue fire is the coolest fire. I mean, yeah, you might have your problems with Azula, but she did look pretty damn awesome with the blue fire. You gotta give her that much, right? So, you have this dude running around. He obviously is mentally not all there. He's a little bit, you know, psychotic, right? And just burning people alive. That's kind of his thing. Dabi literally translates to just cremation. So, yeah, you figure, okay? So, a lot of people are like, hey, you know, he uses fire. Who else do we know that uses fire? Uh-huh. Yeah, and who has a long-lost brother and long-lost son? You know, long-lost son, you know, long-lost brother. We don't know anything about this dude, really, or really what happened to this kid at this point. Not when Dabi first appeared. I don't even know if we knew Toya's name at that point. We just knew that there was another Todoroki sibling. That's all we knew about, right? And so a lot of theories started popping up. It's like, I'm thinking Dabi is going to be the long-lost brother. And I was like, nah. No way, that's too. I mean, just because he has a fire quirk. I mean, Deku's dad has a fire quirk, right? There could be other characters with fire quirks, but then the story began to progress, and especially since more of the stuff we got during the Endeavor agency arc, and even the Kyushu moment there, where Endeavor fought against Hood, and then Dabi showed up at the very end there. I'm like, yeah, okay, it seems to be the direction we're going down here. So, yeah, and that turned out to be the revelation. But, no way! It wasn't just that simple. There was so much more to this. Horikoshi, I think, might have realized, like, okay, this is pretty obvious at this point. Like, I'm dropping so many hints that Dabi is going to be Toya that I gotta give the fans something more than that. And something more he did. Like, we find out relatively early in the chapter, like, Dabi just pretty much just comes out and says it to Endeavor and Shoto. And he's like, hey guys, how you doing? I know I've changed a little bit, but it's your older brother Toya, Shoto. Hey Pappy, how you doing? You know? And like, so talking to Endeavor, talking to Shoto. And it's like, that stuff is just cleared the air right away, and the rest of this chapter is Dabi having a freaking just birthday party in his head, where he's dancing around like, oh, I have been waiting so many years to do this. This is a Machiavellian plan I have been scheming for literally, this has been on my mind for every solitary waking second for like the last decade. I am so happy I finally get a chance to reveal this. You know, hi Shoto, hi Dad, how you doing? Let's dance in hell together amidst blue fire. Oh my god, this is some Aizen shit. It really is, okay? So, oh man, it just, I don't even know where to start with this. There's like this plan. Like Dabi, you know how like this entire arc, every time we cut over to Dabi, he looks a little bit more psychotic than usual. Like Dabi really only has like two speeds we really see him at. One is like he's just really stoic, kind of bored with everything, and he's just like there hanging out, just like, whatever, guys. You know, just like the really cool kid. And then the other time, he's just like psychotic, like, how you doing, everybody? You know, he has like two angles, but like this last arc, it's really been dialed up, you know, where the entire time he was at the base, and then the whole thing with Twice, of course, happened, and Hawks was there, and then the entire time he's been riding on the back of Shiganto Makia. He's just like, oh my god, it's gonna happen. Oh, we're almost there. Almost to Endeavor and Shoto. Oh man, this is gonna be great. This is like Christmas for him, okay? It's Christmas and his birthday. Alright, so this was Dabi. This is what he did, alright? So Dabi is Toya. We still don't know the full story on how Toya apparently died or what exactly Endeavor did to him. It is heavily hinted at in this chapter to a few things, but we don't know the whole story here. So there's still some pieces we need to fit together here. Still some puzzle pieces, okay? But we understand this much. Dabi is Toya, and he is the eldest child of Enji and Rei. Okay, I even looked into this because I wanted to make sure. I thought Fuyumi was the eldest child, like she was the daughter and she was the oldest, but no, it's revealed that Toya is the eldest, okay? And so it goes Toya, Fuyumi, Natsuo, and then Shoto, okay? Shoto, I believe, is 16 right now. Natsuo is 19. He's a college student. Fuyumi is, I think, 23. I wrote these all down just to keep them straight. She's 23. She's a teacher, which would put Dabi, we don't know his age yet, but it would put him at least around 24 minimum. Might be 25 years old, something like that. 24, 25 is probably Dabi or Toya's age, okay? So we know he was the firstborn, and much like all the other siblings of Shoto, he was considered a failure, because the whole point that Enji, you know, married Rei through the quirk marriage was like, I need to have a child that has the perfect combination of a quirk. My fire quirk, my hell flame, and then Rei's freezing quirk that allowed, you know, to cool down, so it had the perfect balance, okay? So we go through Toya, he didn't have it, Natsuo didn't have it, Fuyumi didn't have it, and then finally Shoto, and then Enji focused all of his efforts on training Shoto to become like his successor, okay? And he was very, very brutal to Shoto in that regard as well. But something you also got to think about is that Toya being the firstborn, he probably got the brunt of this. Alright, we're talking Enji back in the day when literally all he cared about was just like one-upping All Might, creating the strongest quirk, the best combination, okay? Any changes that might have happened to him over the years, having his kids and whatever, like, this wasn't a thing yet. He was just pure, unabashed, just jealousy for All Might and just wanting to just surpass him, and then just that fiery rage that burned in him, like, I gotta have this perfect quirk, right? And so Toya was the firstborn. So, Dabi doesn't go into full detail here on all the stuff that happened. The reason Dabi ended up the way he is, like, you know, the whole psychotic dancing around we see in this chapter, that is a direct result of whatever the hell Endeavor did to him back when he was a little kid. Back when he was first born, and probably since Toya could walk. Enji was like, alright kid, it's time, you know, you're the firstborn, you have to have this perfect quirk, okay? And so, whenever Endeavor figured out that Toya didn't have this perfect combination, he has his cremation, he has the blue fire quirk, but did not inherit Rei's freezing, or not like this perfect combination that he originally intended. And it's also implied that it was because of Endeavor's negligence that resulted in Toya's death, what we assume to be his death. In the Endeavor agency arc we had just a few arcs ago, we had that scene where Endeavor goes into the little shrine in his house, and he has little, you know, the picture of Toya as a little kid and everything, and he's like, I'm so sorry, you know, he's like racked with guilt, because at this point in the story, Endeavor has kind of seen the error of his ways, and he's trying to do better, and he's trying to improve, and he feels genuine guilt for whatever happened to Toya. Once again, we still don't know this full story, but we're gonna find out pretty damn soon. In fact, we're probably gonna find out concurrently with this battle, because like I said, Dabi, whatever happened where he was, you know, confirmed dead as like a little kid, up until now when he's in his mid-20s, he's been planning this, alright? At the same time this is going on, where Dabi is confronting his father and Shoto, he also previously filmed an entire, like, documentary about his life that he then, I guess, maybe gave it to the doctor or gave it to somebody that had, like, they had some quirk that can hack, you know, radio waves or whatever he did. He managed to figure out a way to get this documentary of his life broadcast all over Japan, you know, the same time this battle is going on, all right? So it's like, I'm gonna take down Endeavor. I'm gonna make him face the ghosts of his past, which are, like, embodied in my existence, right? I am the lost child that he basically just destroyed mentally with his abuse. And his, like, oh, you know, his crazy desire to one-up All Might. I'm the product of that. And in addition to that, I'm also going to make this documentary, broadcast it all over Japan, so every single citizen knows. And it would be all over the world. I mean, this would be definitely something that would go viral. Like, everybody in the world knows at once the kind of person that you are. All right, and how this whole thing is going down, right? So he records that, and it's actually in the hospital where Ray is at. So Ray is in the hospital, and the freaking signal gets hijacked, and all of a sudden, her dead son shows up on the TV, covered with scars, and, like, you know, like, bolts, and, like, they look like staples, honestly. It looks like his skin's burning off, and he just grabbed a staple gun and just, you know, freaking, like, the Joker kind of deal. And so her dead son shows up on the television like, hey, my name's Dabi, but I also go by Toya Todoroki, and I'm the son of Endeavor. Time to tell you my life story. I've killed over 30 people. I've burnt them to a crisp. And I'm gonna tell you everything about what led up to this point. Well, it all started when I was a little tyke. And my father wanted to have the perfect quirk in this world. And so he basically forced a woman into marrying him and then gave birth to me! And it's been so long, I've just wanted to tell my life story, you know? So the freaking hospital staff are like, get into her room and turn off the, like, rip the TV out of the wall, because this is a woman that is, like, recovering from, like, severe mental and emotional and physical abuse for, like, years. Probably, you know, most of it, I mean, started probably as soon as they got married, but also what happened to Toya definitely didn't help that. And so everything with also Shoto and burning his face, like, she was doing so well, and then this shit turns on her television. Holy crap, right? Alright, so, oh, man. I guess I at this point, like, there's other stuff that happens in the chapter. I'm just gonna gloss over that really quick so just we can move on. Shigaraki's quirk, we get a name for the rivet stab thing, you know, those black pipes that come out and stab people. That's called rivet stab, and it's coming out of his spine. And there's another quirk that's like an auto lock-on quirk, so that, you know, Shigaraki's body, his physical body, can't move anymore because it's so burnt and damaged after, you know, Izuku and Endeavor's efforts. So basically, you just have these rivets that are like pipes and like knives, like sticking out of him like spider legs, and they're just attacking people. You know, they lock on to the nearest target, so it's like he doesn't have to worry about his body getting worn out. Higanto Makia shows up. Nejire and Todoroki both try to use, like, their strongest attacks. Shoto uses Jet Kindling! And then Nejire uses, like, her 100% Surge, the most badass quirk ever, named after a 90s soft drink. Surge! 100%! You know, Nejire Flood! And they just blast into freaking Shigaraki. Their high-octane attacks. Higanto Makia shows up, freaking swipes through the battlefield with his mighty skeletal fingers and knocks away Shoto, knocks away Nejire, and manages to rescue Shigaraki. And Shigaraki's in the hands of Higanto Makia, and is like, Master, finally! Please give me an order, I'll do anything! But Shigaraki's kind of like, so he's not really 100% all conscious right now, so we don't get any updates on that. Bakugo is still alive. Ida picks him up. He's bleeding, but he's still conscious. Ida's like, you've been hit in your vitals, you're losing a lot of blood. And freaking Bakugo's there like nothing but just like flawless absolute victory. We need to stay. We need to see this go down. And then Endeavor is poor Endeavor at this point, right? Like, he did the flash fire thing. He's all burnt out. He's got a freaking hole in his lung. He can barely breathe. And then Higato Makina shows up and he's like, okay. And Endeavor, #1 hero at this point, he's like, I can't retreat. I need to figure out some weakness to this thing. And I need to stand tall. And even if it means I'm going to die in the process, I need to fight back against this thing, right? So, once again, Horikoshi kind of like thrusting it to the front, like, you know, this is the Endeavor that we know right now. This battle that is about to happen between Dabi and Shoto and Endeavor. Holy crap. I'm sure Horikoshi has been planning this for years, and it's going to be a literal battle between Endeavor's current personality, who he is now, and the person he wants to become, and the ghosts of his past. I could honestly even see, and this would be beautiful, this would be so poetic, if, like, Dabi, shows up on the battlefield, he goes to attack Enji, and then Endeavor kind of sees, like, himself. Like, he sees, like, the way he used to be back when he was in his 20s. Back when he was just full of rage and just spite and jealousy and this desire that it just drove him mad and, the whole thing. So it'll literally be like, Endeavor fighting against, like, evil Endeavor. Like, just like the image in his mind, he'll see that as he's fighting Dabi. And he's gonna have to figure out some way to overcome it. And there's so many directions that Horikoshi could take with it. It's not like, I don't think it's gonna be as simple as just like, oh, okay, we managed to beat down Dabi, and Dabi decided to change his ways. It's like, I love you, Dad! I love you too, son! No, we're probably not, I mean, that's one avenue you could take it, but I highly doubt that's gonna go down this way, right? So, that's going to be a big exchange there, but we have Endeavor standing up against this huge giant, this behemoth that could literally just step on him and probably just kill him right there. And he's missing a freaking lung, and he can barely breathe, and he's used up all of his hellfire, basically. But he's still standing tall, and he's still, even if it means I'm gonna die, I gotta do something. That's what being the number one hero means, okay? And then Dabi shows up, because Dabi's on the back of, Higanto Machina. Alright, cool. And then that's when we get into the whole, like, Machiavellian Eisen scheme, the dance of madness that freaking Dabi pulls off. He takes, like, I don't know if it's like a water bottle or some kind of, like, acid or something, but he just, like, splashes it on his head, and all of a sudden his hair turns white, which is the original color it used to be. I think it used to be red in the anime, so that might be like an anime manga thing, but I believe it might be red because it's manga, but it just looked more white in the anime, in the manga here, like, that kind of color. So he just, like, splashes it on his head, and then the black hair dye he had gets, washed out, and then Shoto and Enji are looking on, and they kind of know who it is right away, and Dabi, like I said, confirms it right out of the gate, like, I am your son. I don't think this is any situation with, like, Toya died, and then his cork was given to Dabi, or it's like Dabi, has part of, like, the body parts of Toya, or anything like that. No, Dabi is Toya, okay? He's Toya. Mind, body, and soul, slightly fractured, actually really fractured, but he is Toya Todoroki, okay? There's gonna be no tricks with this. He's not a clone, he's not like I've, grafted his cells onto me, like Hashirama cells from Naruto or whatever bullshit. No, he's, like, literally Toya. Alright, and we still have a few pieces of this backstory, but it's like, Endeavor, the way you raised me, you treated me like a failure, you threw me away as soon as you found out that I didn't have the cork that you wanted, and I'm sure Natsuo and Fuyumi, they were also neglected as well, but I think, between all of the siblings, I think, yeah, Shoto got it pretty damn bad. He got it really, really bad, but Toya might have even had it worse, because he was the firstborn and he was the first failure. So you can imagine how Endeavor probably took his rage out on Toya as a kid, right? And so stuff happened, he was apparently dead, and then he ended up in the slums, basically. He ended up as the Dabi that we know, being a villain, very, very unhinged, burning people alive. Like, that's the kind of person he ended up becoming, okay? And he's like, when I thought I was going to just take away Shoto from you. Like, I was just going to kill Shoto and take away your son to make you feel bad about that. But then you became the number one hero. And I'm like, holy crap. You became the number one hero. And that's when Dabi, he kind of formulated this plan. And he's just like, you know what? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make it so you look like you're actually going to redeem yourself. I'm going to make it so it looks like you're going to put your past behind you, and you're going to move to the future, and you're going to be a better dad, and you're going to be a better husband, and you're going to improve, and the people around the world start looking up to you, and start actually thinking that you're like you are a true successor to All Might, and you're the great hero, you're number one, and people can rely on you, and yeah, you might have done some bad stuff, and that stuff can be unforgiven, but you're still moving forward to the future to kind of make up for all of that, right? And Dabi goes on this long, just monologue where he's enjoying enjoying every word that comes out of his mouth and be like, oh, by the way, you know those two villains that attacked you? Star Servant and Ending? Yeah, I sent them after you. So for one thing, you could reflect on your past, like the past with Ending, but also you could defeat them and you could save your son. Remember, Ending was this dude. Ending was the traffic line quirk dude that was like, Endeavor, I want you to end my life, please, Endeavor. And he like traps Natsuo, and so Endeavor saves him, and it's this thing of like, oh, I sent Ending after you. Yes, you saved your son, so you can now have a better relationship with Natsuo. Oh, isn't that precious? Oh, and look, you're starting to patch things up with Shoto. Oh, and your wife is starting to forgive you. Oh, and the people are starting to forgive you. Endeavor's little redemption arc. Isn't that adorable? Well, Dad, time for that other shoe to drop. How about we have a dance in hell? You know, and so that's where the chapter ends. Oh, last scene. Little panel. It looks like Best Jeanus's little jet is arriving soon, like his big cargo plane that had like the giant cables in it, which is most likely Best Jeanus. Yeah, that's arriving now too. So I don't know if Jeanus is gonna be just like the cleanup operation, like we need to get out of here, everybody come up, or if he's gonna actually fight. Don't know what's up, but the jet, like the big jumbo thing, is arriving. So you know, he'll be there probably next chapter. We're gonna see some stuff with that, but not before we get this. We have to get this. Okay, we have to get a little bit of this. It doesn't have to be resolved right now. In fact, I wouldn't want it to be resolved right now, but we have to have this battle between Todoroki, all the Todorokis, the three-way battle between all Todorokis, and we need to see that. And it would be crazy if, like, Dabi launches an attack and, like, injures Endeavor, and then Best Jeanus shows up with his cables and his, like, fiber quirk, and he's like, everybody evacuate now! And he gets them all away, and then it's like Dabi's just looking up, and he's like, oh, that's okay, Dad. I've already won. Bye. You know, I've already told you who I am. I've already told you my Machiavellian scheme, and I've already broadcast who I am and your story and what you've done to me to lead to this all over the entire nation. I kind of, like, I could see Dabi being like, I just want to see, I want you to still be living. I want your heart to still be beating so you can witness the fallout of all this. And then when you're at your lowest, then I'll show up and I'll burn you alive. Then I'll do that. Like, I could imagine Dabi going that angle with it, right? And as for Shoto, oh man, this is gonna be a thing where Endeavor might be frozen up and he might be like, I don't know, I guess I can never erase the past, you know, the past never goes away. It doesn't matter what I try, I'm always gonna be that person that ruined you, Toya. I'm always gonna be that person that, you know, it really, like, once again, we don't know for certain, but it really does seem that it was because of Endeavor's actions that led to Toya's death. He wasn't really dead, but they thought he was, and whatever probably happened was bad enough for him to, you know, die, right? Or apparently die. So Endeavor might have, like, kind of a breakdown here where he's like, oh my god, you are literally only here because of what I did to you, right? This is all because of me. Like, if I would have raised you differently, if I wouldn't have done those horrible things, if I would not have just had children for the sake of, you know, having this perfect quirk, then, you know, Toya could have been a completely different person, right? And then that's like, that is going to be one side of it, and then you're also going to have the Shoto side of it, where Shoto is also Endeavor's son. Shoto is also Endeavor's son, and the entire time this fight might be going on, Shoto might look over to his dad. His dad's like freaking out, like, oh, what did I do? Was this me? I did this? Shoto's gonna be like, Dad, come on, just get with it, okay? We have to fight him right now. He's a villain, you know? All the stuff that he's done. He's like, but it's Toya. I'm like, I know it's Toya. This is... You know, so it's gonna be this, like, back and forth thing where Dabi's like, you can never be redeemed, you can never come back from that, you're always gonna be that horrible person, and Shoto might have his own emotional moment where he's like, I forgive you, Dad. And it's just like, that, I don't know if it's gonna go that angle with it. I made a whole video about this. I made a whole video about Todoroki and his viewpoints on his father and if they're ever going to change. And if they did change, that's one way. But if they don't change, then that's fine too, because that brings back to, like, real world stuff. That's what Horikoshi's doing with this, right? That's why it's so palpable, right? Where, you know, Shoto might never forgive his dad for what he did. Same thing with Natsuo. Natsuo might never forgive him. But in this one particular instance, Shoto has obviously kind of had his attitude change on his father a little bit. You know, so I don't know if that's the way it's gonna go, though. But it's gonna be like Shoto being like, you can change, Dad. You can. I think that'll be, bare minimum, that'll be it. If it's not, like, straight up forgiveness, it'll be like Dabi saying you can't be forgiven. Shoto will be saying you can. All right, it's possible. All right, I could just tell you just for myself, like Shoto, even if he's not ready to completely forgive him, he's like, you know what? I feel way better about you than I did a year ago or when I was a kid. My attitude has definitely changed on you over the years. And it might be as Shoto might have the discussion with Dabi, with his brother, talking about their father and if he can be redeemed. And my God, like the whole thing is just going to be, it's going to be like the finale to Endeavor's big redemption arc that has spanned multiple story arcs. It's not something that Horikoshi is just throwing in one story arc and just calling it a day. Like, all right, Endeavor redemption arc starts, middle, end. He's redeemed. Okay, cool. Now, this has been something that's been going on since way back in, like, starting at the festival, the sports festival, where we get introduced to Endeavor properly, and then all the way through everything else that's happened till we get to this point right here. It's gonna be wild, guys. It's gonna be wild, but the Dabi story arc, man, that went somewhere that I didn't even figure. I didn't expect the whole, like, broadcasting it all over Japan and, like, the big reveal. Like, we kind of figured the reveal, but, like, the way it was handled was, like, it's gonna be crazy. All right, so that was chapter 290. Getting close to 300, so that's a good milestone for My Hero Academia. This is going to continue on for quite some time. Best Genist is arriving, so he might just do the evac thing. Didn't get really much from Izuku or Uraraka or anything like that in this chapter, but I think with everything that we did get, this has been a long time coming. So let me know on your thoughts below about Dabi, about Endeavor's character, about how the fight's going to happen, if there's even going to be like a straight up fight. It might be like Endeavor might be so emotionally like distraught he might not even be able to fight Dabi. What's up with Rei at the hospital? What about Natsuo and Fuyumi wherever they're at? They're probably watching the same thing right now too online. So they're going to be... And Natsuo apparently had a really close relationship with Toya, as we find out. Toya would actually run to Natsuo whenever his dad did something horrible to him, and they would try to, like, be together. And that's why Natsuo has such, like, a visceral hatred for his father, because what happened to Toya. So I want to see Natsuo's response to this. I want to see what happens with him, Well, that's that. One Piece is coming back next week. Thanks for watching, everybody. It's going to get wild from here on out. Tekking, signing out.